The single biggest wealth transfer in modern history didn't happen in a boardroom. It happened in silence, in ordinary bank accounts, in the gap between people who started and people who waited. And the difference, the actual documented difference, came down to a decision most people believe they can't make yet. That word has cost more people more money than any stock market crash in history. Here's what the data actually shows. The S&P 500, an index of 500 large U.S. companies, has delivered a long-run historical average return of approximately 10% per year on a nominal basis, according to decades of market data. That figure varies depending on the exact time period measured, and past performance does not guarantee future results. Not every year. Some years it collapsed, some years it soared. But across 5 decades, 10%. And the people who captured that return weren't Wall Street insiders. They were teachers, postal workers, people who started with almost nothing. The question this raises, and it should unsettle you, is why nobody sat you down and showed you the mechanics. Because the mechanics are not complicated. They never were. Let's go back to the beginning. Compound interest. The concept itself is over 300 years old. When Franklin died in 1790, he left $1,000 each to the cities of Boston and Philadelphia, with instructions that the bulk of the funds be held and allowed to grow for up to 200 years. By the time the final distributions were made, Boston's share had grown to several $million, a real-world demonstration of compounding across generations, as reported by The Atlantic. Franklin called it the Stone of Hope. He understood something most people still don't. Time does the heavy lifting. Not talent, not connections, time. And this is the part nobody talks about. The barrier was never actually money. The barrier was the story people told themselves about money, that you needed thousands to begin, that the market was a casino for the rich, that you'd figure it out later. Later never comes. So here's what starting actually looks like in practice. With $50 this week, no experience. Step 1. Open a brokerage account on a platform that offers fractional shares. Several major brokerage platforms, including Fidelity and Schwab, currently offer accounts with no stated minimum deposit requirements and support fractional share investing. Always confirm the current terms directly on the platform's website before opening an account, as policies can change. Fractional shares mean you can own a slice of a company like Apple or Amazon without buying a whole share. That barrier is gone, completely gone. Step 2. Put that $50 into a single index fund, specifically one that tracks the S&P 500, a fund like Vanguard's VOO, which tracks the S&P 500, or Fidelity's FSKAX, which tracks the total U.S. stock market and offers similarly broad diversification at very low cost. Either option gives you exposure to hundreds of American companies in a single purchase. You're not picking stocks. You're not gambling. You're buying a tiny piece of 500 companies simultaneously. Step 3, and this is the one that actually builds wealth. Automate it. Set up a recurring deposit, even $20 a month on top of your initial $50. That's the strategy. That's the whole strategy. It sounds too simple to be real. That's exactly why most people dismiss it. The math behind this is straightforward, and you can verify it yourself with any compound interest calculator. Using the historical average return of the S&P 500 as a baseline, a 25-year-old who invests $200 a month until age 65 could accumulate roughly $1 million. That is what a standard compound interest calculator shows when you apply a 10% annual return over 40 years. You can run this exact scenario yourself using the SEC's compound interest calculator at investor.gov. A 40-year-old investing the same $200 a month until 65, with only 25 years of compounding instead of 40, would accumulate somewhere in the range of $250,000 to $270,000 under the same assumptions. Same discipline, same monthly amount. The gap is driven entirely by time. Remember what I said at the start. The biggest wealth transfer in modern history happened in silence. That transfer is still happening right now. Every month. Between people who started and people who are still waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect amount, the perfect understanding before they begin. The perfect moment doesn't exist. It never did. The documented reality is this. The single most powerful thing you can do with $50 this week is open an account, buy into an index fund, and automate a recurring contribution, even a small one. That action puts you on the same side of the data as the people who built wealth quietly over decades without anyone watching. So the question isn't whether you can afford to start. The question, and it's the only one that matters, is how much longer you're willing to wait. What's actually stopping you from making that first deposit this week? This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. Always do your own research before making any financial decisions.